Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Meredith Phillips, and today I wanted to share with you a little recap of NaNoWriMo 2022, lessons I've learned, takeaways, and what I'm planning to do moving forward. NaNoWriMo 2022 was maybe the best NaNoWriMo experience ever. Maybe. 2019 was also very good. And this is my 7th year participating. So I've had plenty of years to choose from, and this one might be the best. One thing I was really nervous about or scared of at the beginning of November was that November 2022 was going to turn into November 2021, which was a disaster of a month. If you were here last year, you might remember, like, it was just something new every single day, practically, or at least that's what it felt like, where like some like personal life thing was going on that just made it so stressful and really not a very good experience. I did hit the 50K mark last year, but the price I paid for that was probably not worth it. I should have taken a step back last year, and I didn't because I'm stubborn, but it was a miserable year. And that's what I was afraid that this year was going to end up being. However, November 2022 was the complete opposite of last year. It was smooth sailing like the entire month. There were no bunny emergencies. There were no crazy things happening with the dogs. Like, everything was pretty chill. Nobody got sick. My day job was pretty slow, so there wasn't like work stress and being exhausted by work kind of getting in the way of my writing energy and all that kind of stuff. So let's chat about some of my personal takeaways from NaNoWriMo 2022. First and absolutely foremost is the very exciting notion that I have found my writing voice in historical romance. I do not want to write contemporary romance anymore. Not interested. The historical romance genre, I feel like, fits my natural writing voice so perfectly. And I had a really great time exploring the Regency world within my story and within my characters. The story and the characters just feel right. They feel really good. I've written really fun books before, books that I've had a great time while writing them, but I've never, I don't think, written the right book. And even now that I'm finished writing it, I'm still thinking about the characters and the story, and I'm really excited to go back to it and start the revision process. I am letting it sit. I'm not going in yet, but I'm really excited for that part of the process to get started in the next couple weeks. Speaking of the Regency, it is an absolutely fascinating era in British history and really world history. I've read a bunch of books on the time period, and I want to read more. There's just so much going on. There's the Napoleonic Wars, there's the War of 1812, there are agricultural innovations happening, there's the rise of the middle class. Like, there's just so much stuff. There's a ton of story fodder in there too. I can't tell you how many times I've been reading a history, a nonfiction book, and something will pop out and be like, ooh, that could be a really cool piece to add to a story, or that could be a really cool historical event to have a story sort of piggyback off of. Like, there's just so many opportunities. So I'm excited to read more about the era throughout the next while. I don't know, like, there's a lot of books out there. I have a lot of books in my like save for later cart on Amazon. So hopefully I'll be able to get a few more of those and read more about the period. Shifting a little more into like writing craft kinds of takeaways, I guess I would say. There's two things I did in Preptober that were invaluable to me during NaNoWriMo. The first one is that super detailed outline that I created. I need a detailed outline. I'm not talking about an outline that gives you the plot beats. I'm talking about a scene by scene, break down each scene kind of outline. I am not a pantser, okay? I'm not a plantser. I need that detailed outline. Otherwise, the first draft just for me ends up a complete mess. And then it's overwhelming to try to think through how to fix it in revisions. This detailed outline that I created really kept me on track during the month when I was drafting. And it really eliminated all of the sort of sitting and thinking that you do when you're like, I don't know what's supposed to happen between this plot point and this plot point, and you're just sort of like rambling on and on. Like, I didn't do any of that, because the outline was so detailed. And I do think that my detailed outline has left me with a decent first draft, which is what I wanted. The draft is not perfect. I already know that, thinking back over certain portions of it. I know it's not perfect. It obviously needs revisions, but it's probably the most solid first draft I've ever created. Now, I don't know, maybe like 2 months from now, I'll look back at this video and be like, are you insane? It's actually terrible. But I don't think it is. I think it's pretty good. And the idea of going back in and doing revisions for it doesn't sound overwhelming at this point. It sounds like something I'm excited to do. So I'm excited to get back in there, and I think what I will find is something that is a draft I can work with without getting completely overwhelmed by it. The other thing that I did during Preptober was I created a calendar of events. I know there was a vlog where I sort of did it by accident. I wasn't planning to do it that day, but that's what I ended up doing. And that calendar, man, that calendar saved me a bunch of times. It helped me map out the whole timeline of events so that you didn't have like events overlapping in an illogical and unrealistic sort of way, or I didn't have things happening like immediately after one another that didn't allow for time to work correctly. So the calendar for me was super useful. It's something I've done in the past, but it's very much something I need to do for my books. Finally, the last thing that I learned from NaNoWriMo this year is sort of twofold. The first is that waking up at 5:30 a.m. is really not all that bad. I know, I'm as surprised as you are. And secondly, I got a lot done in that little hour before I had to start getting ready for work in the morning. And knowing those two things about myself and about my writing process has led me to start thinking about next year, and do I want to make 5:30 a sort of normal thing for me? I don't know. I got a lot done in that hour. I'm really thinking about it. And for me, like, my normal wake up time is 6. So it's really only half an hour earlier. I don't know. We'll see. My afternoons, like late afternoon when I'm done with work, and then the evenings are oftentimes really difficult to find a good chunk of time to sit down and concentrate on writing projects. And so having that early hour morning writing session is really nice for me because there's really nothing to interrupt me most of the time. Sometimes pets interrupt, but most of the time I can just sit down, the house is quiet, I'm drinking coffee, like I can just get some stuff done and I'm not being bothered by a whole lot of other things. So I'm not sure at this point what exactly I will choose to do or what a new schedule for myself might look like, but I'm just taking that information into consideration when I'm thinking about goals and writing routines for next year. So yeah, just a short and sweet little video today. I'd love to hear in the comments what your big lessons or takeaways were from NaNoWriMo. Is there anything new about yourself that you learned that you're going to take into consideration when you're trying to do goals for next year? Are you thinking about changing your writing routine? Did you try something and it was like a complete fail and you know now never to try that again? Let me know in the comments if you have any particular takeaways from NaNoWriMo. And remember, there's no video this Friday, but I will have my final video of the year next Tuesday. We're going to be looking back over 2022 and the goals I set at the beginning of the year and seeing how I did on those. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. I post videos usually on Tuesdays and Fridays. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!